Hey, it's Anna, and this is a numerology how to find your key or keys, if perhaps you have a name. Well, you probably have a name. If you have a name but you go by a different name, then you could have more than one key. And if you don't know that much about numerology, it is based on the philosophy that everything is numbers. Numbers are in everything, even words. So the way that we get a number for each letter is based on the sequence of where it lands in the alphabet. So, and this goes all the way back to Pythagoras. He believed that really there was only the numbers 1 through 9 because everything else you would just add the digits together and it becomes again one of these. So he felt that these were very special and they must all have meaning. So to correspond the letters to them, we simply just write the alphabet underneath. So it's really easy to make your own little chart for reference. And it ends right there. So, and if it's helpful, just so you can see more clearly, draw some lines in there. And usually, I do this pretty quickly in my celebrity numerology videos because I've been doing this for half my life, so I have all of these memorized. But I'm going to do it slower today just so you can feel like you have the hang of it and practice. And we're starting with keys because that's what I always start with. That's just the first name. And keys are going to represent how you view opportunity. So what philosophy you might have when it comes to making decisions about where you're going to take your life, what opportunities you're going to take and not take, and all that good stuff. When I started this channel, I was thinking that I would offer personal readings, but after I thought about that more, I feel like that would be far too draining energetically for me to always be doing that. So I thought it would be a better use of my time and hopefully yours to just teach you how to do it if you want to eventually be able to give yourself your own numerology reading or for people that you know. And so I'm going to do how to find your keys in this video, and then in the next video I'll talk about what they all mean. And yeah, so I am using characters from one of my favorite books just so we get an example of each one here. So you could do something like that too when you're wanting to practice. So let's say that is kind of an interesting name. Let's say your name is Quentin. Q is definitely a letter I don't see very often. So if your name is Quentin, you're going to first write your name using the numbers that correspond with each letter. So Q right here is an 8, U is a 3, E 5, N also 5, T is a 2, I is 9, and N again is another 5. So that's the first step. And then you want to add all of these numbers together. So that's 11 plus 10 is 21, 23, 32, 37. And then you keep adding these digits together until you get just one number. So 3 plus 7 would be 10, and then 1 plus 0 is 1. So Quentin has a key of 1, and just to use another character, I also have Midas, who has a key of 1. So we'll get him here too for when I talk about what those mean. And so you would do the same thing, you know, just look at the chart, and we'll do that a little bit slower again for number 2. But yeah, this would be 19, 10, and 1 for Midas as well. Okay, and we have a kitty maybe wanting to help us. All right, so let's say maybe more chance of someone's name being this. Let's say your name is John. So J is a 1, 0, or sorry, O, too many numbers. O is a 6, H is an 8, and N is a 5. So 7, 15, 20. So that would be 2 for John. Okay, oh, and another kitty. I don't know if you can see him. Sorry about the kitties if they're distracting. All right, another kind of interesting name. Let's say your name is Ellis. So E is 5. And you know, once you start doing it more, you might be able to memorize some of these as well. I is 9 and S is 1. So if your name was Ellis, we've got 8, 11 plus 10 would be 21, which would be 3. Okay, you can kind of see I'm going in order here, but just good practice. And I couldn't find, it was funny, I was looking for a character that would add up to 4 and I couldn't find one, and then I realized that the author's name, first name, adds to 4. So let's say your name is Ein, maybe your parents were also a fan, oh hello, of this book. So that'd be 1, 7, and 5, which would be 13, which would be 4. Okay, and let's do one with a nickname now. So let's say that your name is Kenneth, okay, but you go by Ken. So you potentially have 2 different ones. And usually if you go by a certain name a lot more often than your given name, then you're probably going to be more aligned to this one. But, you know, always use your own judgment for whatever makes sense for you. So K is a 2. E's and N's, you can see them together there, they're both 5. So really we have 4 5s in a row. And then T is a 2. H is an 8. So when we add all of these together, look at those 4 5s, that's 20, that makes 32. So Kenneth comes out to be 5, but if you go by Ken, that is only 2 5 5, which is 12, which is 3. So 3 would be more likely to fit you. So we'll get into the meanings after we just get some more practice and examples here. Okay, so let's say a very interesting name too. I don't know if anybody is named this anymore, but let's say your name is Dagny. So D is 4, A is 1, G is 7, N is 5, and Y is also 7. So 5, 5, 17, and 24. So Dagny is a 6. Okay, and you can do, I will in later videos talk about compatibility that you can do between 2 people. Normally you look at the soul urges first for that. So we will get to soul urges, but you could also look at, you know, how they view opportunity. I did a compatibility video on Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. If you want to see that, they ended up having the same key, so that was kind of cool. All right, let's say your name is Francisco, I can spell, which would be, so that's a longer name. So then you just kind of have more to do R is 9, A is 1. Hopefully that's the most obvious one. So A is 1. N we've seen a lot, that's 5. C is 3. And I is 9. S is another 1. C is another 3. And O is 6. So, and then you just have more adding to do with longer names, but you'll still come down to one number. So that's 16, 21, 24, plus 10 is 34, 37, 43. So that's 7. And I actually he was the first one that I also tried to do his nickname, which is Frisco, and that also comes out to be 7. So that's kind of funny. And same with Henry or Hank. His is also 7 for both. Henry and Hank are both 7s. So sometimes that might be true. You know, if you go by 2 different names, but they end up being the same thing, then it doesn't really matter in terms of how you view opportunity, which one you go by, because they'll both just equally fit you. Okay, let's say your name is Hugh, nice and short, and we have 2 H's, which are both 8s. So you can do that too. You know, if you see the same letter appearing twice, you can just go ahead and label them both, and then go back and fill in the gaps. So U is 3, and G is 7. And when I'm adding together, you might have noticed I look for 10s if I can see them. So like that 3 and 7 right away, that's 10. And sometimes that makes the adding a little bit easier. So that's 10, 18, and 26, which is 8. All right, so just a few more, just so I have them all for when I'll talk about the meanings in the next video. And we've got Eddie here. And that's another nice one where we have some double letters. So E's are 5s and D's are 4s. So right away we've got a 5, couple 4s, and I is 9. And then I would go from these 5s is 10, and then that's 19, and then plus 8, that's 27, which is 9. And there's no way to really, you know, check yourself and make sure you did this right, except just to double check. So that's 1 through 9. And we also have some master numbers that get left as 2 digits. So if your name was Ted, seems like such a nice, simple name. And it is a simple name, but let's see, T is 2, E is 5, and D is 4. When you add them together, that is 11, which we leave because it's a master number. And if you don't know what those are yet, I'll talk more about what those are when I go through these explanations. So, and you might be able to guess then what the other 2 are. Now, these last 2, these are not characters from this book because I couldn't find any that added to these. So Ryan is a very common name that I've just run across a lot and noticed that it adds to this next one. So R is 9, Y is 7, A is 1, and N is 5. So we've got 10, 17, 22 for Ryan. And these numbers kind of, you know, there are some qualities of 2. If you were to add those ones together, there are some qualities of 2 in there, but since it's a master number, you leave it as 11. So same with this one. It does have some qualities of 4, but since it's 22, you leave it as 22. All right, and the last one, I don't think I knew any names off the top of my head, but I did remember from when I did Beyonce's numerology that her name adds to this last one, which I'm sure you know what it is. So B is 2, E is 5, Y is 7, O is 6, N is 5, C is 3, and E is 5. So we've got 10, 13, 19, 26, 31, 33. And 33, when I learned numerology, mostly from this book that I got, it said that 11 and 22 were the only master numbers. 33 is more of a modern master number, but it does make sense to me because if you add 11 and 22 together, you get 33. So it would make sense that it's treated as a master number too. It's actually called the master teacher, which is kind of cool. So I am going to go through what all of these mean in the next video, but now you know how to find your key, and also for a nickname, works the same way. So you could do this for yourself or anyone you want, anyone you're curious about, and it's going to represent how you view opportunity. All right, I hope you have a beautiful day. Much love.